Hey guys, Larry Becker here. You know, when you've decided to move up from a point-and-shoot camera or a phone camera to a serious digital camera, most folks start looking at DSLRs, and that's because they see that's what the pros use. And if you're new to DSLR photography, there's a wide array of affordable models from various manufacturers that capture incredible quality images. With interchangeable lenses and professional quality image sensors, as well as pro-level controls, these cameras also provide enough automated features to let any novice learn to be comfortable with the camera while they're learning the pro features so they can learn and grow as photographers. The cameras we have in this video all have a pretty large image sensor, somewhere between 14 and 18 megapixels. Now, it's not just the megapixels. The image sensor itself is physically much larger than the sensor inside of a point-and-shoot camera, so the finished image quality is always going to be noticeably better. All of the cameras here feature very accurate metering, autofocus, and TTL flash capabilities. And that means that they can measure the light coming through the lens when the flash goes off to capture the best possible exposure. They all have built-in pop-up flashes, plus they accept powerful hot shoe mounted speedlight flashes. They capture images as JPEG or RAW format, and all but one of these cameras even captures HD video with sound. So as you can see, these might be considered entry-level DSLR cameras, but rest assured they have the power to deliver professional quality results. Nikon has a couple cameras in this class, and they are the D3100 and the 5100, and they both capture JPEG and RAW still images as well as HD video, specifically 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames per second. They feature an 11-point autofocus system with 3D tracking. They have live view, and that means you can use the LCD on the back instead of the regular viewfinder while you're shooting, and they both have a shutter range from 30 seconds to as fast as 1/4000th of a second. And when it comes to the flash, they both have a pop-up flash, or you can add an external flash, and the flash sync speed then is as fast as 1/200th of a second. You can even add Nikon's GPS module so that your pictures get tagged with GPS information while you shoot. And of course, both of these cameras are compatible with a huge range of Nikon lenses as well as aftermarket lenses that have the Nikon lens mount. The Nikon D3100 has a 14.2 megapixel CMOS sensor and can capture images as fast as 3 frames a second in burst mode. If you're shooting in low light, you'll want to know that the ISO range is from 100 to 3200, and it's even expandable up to 12,800. This camera can capture about 550 images on a single battery charge, and whether you're capturing images and playing them back or using the live view to capture your images, you'll be looking at the 230,000 dot 3-inch LCD screen. The D3100 is only sold as a kit, and that means you can't buy it without a lens, but the lens it comes with is an 18-55 f3.5 to 5.6 DX Nikkor zoom lens with vibration reduction built into the lens. It's a really great starter lens. The Nikon D5100 steps up the size of their CMOS sensor to 16.2 megapixels. The burst rate is also a little bit quicker at 4 frames a second. And the ISO range goes from 100 to 6400, and it's expandable up to 25,600. It captures the same quality video as the D3100, but this camera also has a place that you can plug in an external stereo microphone for higher fidelity sound in your videos. The D5100 also has a 3-inch LCD screen, but this one is even higher resolution at 921,000 dots, and the screen is also articulated. It has 16 automated scene modes as opposed to just 6 in the D3100, and you can even exposure bracket or white balance bracket your photos. One final difference between the two cameras is that you can expect to capture an additional 110 images per battery charge. Canon has a couple of strong performers in this class of DSLRs as well. They are the Rebel T2i and the T3i. Now overall, these cameras have quite a lot in common with one another, starting with the 18 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor. The latest generation of image processors Canon calls their Digic 4. They both have burst rates of up to 3.7 frames a second. They capture JPEG or RAW images, or both at the same time. They can capture bracketed photos grouped by auto exposure or white balance. They capture 1080p HD video with stereo sound and save those files in the popular H.264 format. The shutter speed range on these cameras goes from 30 seconds to as fast as 1/4000th of a second, and you can get your images and video from your camera using a USB 2 port, the HDMI mini port, or a memory card in the SD, SDHC, or SDXC formats. When it comes to lenses, both of these cameras can be used with the full range of Canon EF and EFS lenses, and you can buy either of these cameras as a body-only or in a kit with either the EFS 18-55 IS2 lens or the 18-135 IS zoom lens. Keep in mind, anytime that Canon has IS in a lens name, that means that the lens is image stabilized, and it will compensate for some of those little handshakes we all have when we hold cameras. And the viewfinders of these cameras use a pentamirror system, so you'll see 95% of the image area through the viewfinder. Now, the Rebel T2i and the T3i are also compatible with the current line of Canon speedlights and many Canon EOS accessories. So they have all that stuff in common, but there's a few differences between the T2i and the T3i, like the fact that the T3i offers 8 choices of JPEG compression versus just 6 on the T2i. And where the T2i captures all of its images in a 3:2 aspect ratio, the T3i allows you to change your aspect ratio, and you can go from 3:2 to 4:3, 16:9, or even 1:1. And finally, they both have an impressive high-resolution 3-inch 1,040,000 dot LCD screen. But the EOS T3i's screen is articulated, and the T2i has a fixed screen. Of course, Sony fans are going to be happy to know they have some great choices when it comes to entry-level DSLR cameras as well. A couple solid contenders are the Sony Alpha A390 and the Sony Alpha SLT A33, both of which are compatible with the full range of Sony Minolta AF optics. The Sony Alpha A390 has a 14.2 megapixel CCD sensor, and it can capture JPEG and RAW images, but it doesn't do HD video. The ISO range is from 100 to 3200, and image stabilization is built into the body of this camera using sensor shift technology, so lenses don't need to be image stabilized. The 2.7-inch LCD is a 230,400 dot screen that offers the option of live view, or you can use the pentamirror viewfinder where you'll be able to see 95% of the image area. Like other cameras in this range, the shutter speed can be up to 1/4000th of a second or as slow as 30 seconds. It can shoot as many as 2.5 frames per second at burst mode, and it has a built-in pop-up flash. And it sells in a kit that comes with an 18-55, 3.5 to 5.6 zoom lens. Sony's other camera, the Sony Alpha SLT A33, has some interesting technology that makes the viewfinder experience a little bit different than most cameras. It's got a fixed translucent mirror system, so you can actually capture still images and video with your view never interrupted by a blackout period. Another cool thing is you have full autofocus function and manual control when you're shooting. The still image burst rate is even more impressive at 7 frames per second, capturing either JPEG, RAW, or both at the same time. The electronic viewfinder is especially sharp and bright, and it rivals even the brightness and clarity levels of traditional glass or pentamirror viewing systems. The LCD has a clear overlay that allows you to see previews in real time for all of your exposure and white balance adjustments. And you can pick up this camera with a Sony 18-70 DT lens, or you can just buy the body alone. You know, these days, entry-level affordable DSLR cameras have some really cool, amazing pro-level features and controls. But they also have enough automated functions to help beginners get used to a pro-style camera while they're learning. And the really cool thing is, besides the friendlier price tag, is the tremendous image quality that comes from having a bigger image sensor and high-quality changeable lenses. Nikon, Canon, or Sony, you can't go wrong with these DSLR superstars. With a nice selection of entry-level DSLR cameras, I'm Larry Becker.
For more information, please visit us online, give us a call, or stop by our New York City Superstore. You can also connect with us on the web.